Welcome to Banking 101. My name is Susie Caranda with Security Bank in Laurel, Nebraska.
And I'm Lee Potts, also a Security Bank in Laurel, Nebraska. And we're going to talk to you today about banking.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We'll start by sharing who we are and kind of how we got into banking. I graduated from Pierce High School, not too far from Laurel. And from there, I went to Midland College in Fremont, Nebraska. I have a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Education and Business Administration and Management. I coached and taught business and computers for 4 years prior to joining the bank here in Laurel, Nebraska. I've been in the bank here since 1997 and have had several roles. My current role is Executive Vice President, but I began my career as a customer service representative. Lee?
And I graduated from Cedar Catholic High School in Hardington and went to college at UNL. And I've been employed with the bank since 2005, so right at 15 years now. And my current role is ag loan officer that I work with as far as customers, and my title in the bank is vice president and senior credit officer. And so my main role is helping to oversee all of the loan portfolio throughout the bank.
Good, thanks, Lee. And my roles include managing our 5 branches. We have branches in Laurel, Hardington, Osmond, Coleridge, and Allen. And we have 44 total employees. And so I help to oversee all 5 locations. The 44 employees serve on executive loan committee, manage the human resources, compliance, and IT departments of the bank. So as you can see, in a small bank, based on what Lee said and what I said, our daily duties are, we all wear many hats, but as we'll kind of describe as we go through this, that's part of the fun of working in a bank, especially a small family-owned bank. Lee, what education and training did you have? What did you graduate from college with? And then how'd you get into banking?
Yeah, so first of all, as I mentioned, I grew up by Hardington on a farm, so I had a farm background. And as I mentioned, I do a lot of ag lending in the bank. And in college, I studied ag economics. And so I took a lot of business classes, economics, finance, and some things like that. And even now to this day, throughout my banking career, I undergo a lot of banking training because there's always changes coming, different regulations, different ways of doing things, and helping customers. And so we always want to be on the cutting edge of that. And how I actually got into banking is I was working for a company in Lincoln at the time where I did accounting and financial analysis and even some taxes for farmers across Nebraska. And a lot of what I was doing was looking at a lot of the same information that a loan officer would at a bank. And therefore, it was a perfect fit that it was an opportunity to move back closer to my home area where I grew up in Cedar County. And as I said before, the rest is history, and I've been here 15 years. So
Very
how about
good.
you, Susie?
Very good. Well, as I mentioned, I had started out my career teaching and moved to Laurel in 1996 and obtained a job in the bank. I was just looking for a full-time job because there was no teacher openings at the time, and happened to get successful in acquiring a job here, as I mentioned, as a customer service representative. And I've continued to move my way through the bank to my current role. And I would agree with Lee. When we look to hire, you don't have to have a finance degree. You don't have to have an ag degree. We're looking for people that have a passion to serve others and are able to communicate with each other, with their coworkers, with their customers. They have good technology skills. We can teach you to be a banker. Because there is some banking programs out there that become more specialized, but there's not just a class or a degree to get in banking per se, where that is all you get. So we'll teach you to be a banker. And so if you have an interest to be in banking, we can help you with that. So, there's nothing that we can't train somebody to do. And we almost like that better. We almost like it better to train somebody who has no banking experience and start from there. So, Lee, what other characteristics or skills make you successful in what you do day to day?
There's quite a few. So one of the biggest ones is the ability to work with people. And by that, I mean coworkers and customers alike. That's probably 90% of my job is being able to talk to people, work with people, helping customers solve an issue or help them be successful in their business, whatever that may be. Another thing is a team player, again, with coworkers and customers, but we're also not only just on our coworkers team, but on our customers team as well, because we're viewed as a partner in their business to help them be successful. Or even people that, even if they need a car loan or something like that, we want to help them get into the right type of car loan that is going to make ownership of that car a lot more fun and not have more of a payment than they can handle, for example, or different things like that. Attention to detail. You have to be looking at a lot of numbers every day, and so you have to like numbers and looking at data and things like that. But another thing that a lot of us have learned over the years is, in order to seek out those details, to be detail oriented, you have to be able to ask really deep and thoughtful questions of your coworkers and customers to make sure we're serving them in the way we need to be serving them. So that would be skills that for my job that make me successful. How about you?
Very good. You bring up great points, Lee. And one of the ones I will add in there is the ability to problem solve. If we have an issue either with a customer relationship or something within the bank, a lot of times we're looked to solve problems, even in our communities, or be idea originators. So creativity, problem solving skills, those are all things that are important in our roles. And we're talking about, two specific roles here within the bank. I will let you know that there's a variety of job opportunities within a bank. We have a compliance division, we have an accounting division, we have an IT department, we have an operations division, we have customer service reps, we have administrative assistants, and we have loan officers and management. So there's a lot of roles that you wouldn't necessarily think of that are available in the bank versus just maybe you think of a teller and a loan officer. So there's lots of different roles. And when we talk about education, Lee mentioned this earlier, we continue to educate our employees throughout their careers, whether it's with online classes or opportunities when we can go back to in-person as COVID-19 settles down. There's in-person trainings for several days, several weeks. There's graduate schools that specifically focus on banking. And we firmly believe in continuing to educate our employees. And we also firmly believe in helping to educate our customers. We want to, as Lee mentioned, become their financial advisor and their partner in whether it's their business or their personal finances. We want them to be able to look to us whenever they have questions regarding finances. So lots of opportunities and lots of varieties within the banking industry. Lee, what would you say throughout your 15 years of banking are some of the advantages of the career that you've chosen?
Well, the biggest one I can think of is just my ability to play a vital role, an integral role in our community, keeping our community strong. I think a lot of you watching this right now are from a small town, and so the value of living in a small town. That everybody knows everybody, kind of a thing, that it's a challenge to keep our small towns vibrant and going like they should be, with businesses and attracting people back to our communities to keep our schools strong. And so in the bank, that's a huge role in the community, any community bank in our small towns, to keep that going and to look for opportunities to improve our communities in any way we can. So.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Those are great points. And if our communities are successful, our banks are successful, and our business environment and downtown communities are successful as well. So great points, Lee. And the other advantage that I will mention with a banking career, different than maybe say a career in farming or a career in veterinarian or tech, and those are just two examples, our hours are fairly consistent. So that's an advantage that, we can offer the opportunity to be really family oriented, and you may be at work for 8 or 9 hours a day, maybe a little bit on the weekends. But for the most part, it's more of a 40 to 45 hour work week. and some weekends. So that is advantageous as you mature and have families, to be able to go to your family events and spend time with your family. So that is another positive of the career. So Lee, would there be any disadvantages to a banking career? I know that's kind of a bad question to say, but there's always pros and cons with everything.
Well, I really can't think of any, Susie, to be honest. I just think that overall, at least for me in my career, it's been very rewarding to not only be, part of the management of the bank, but also, be looked at in the community as somebody who can help solve problems, and that people may have questions, especially if it's financial in nature, that they look to us to solve or to help them solve, because we're looking at numbers every day, and we see a lot of different things across the bank with all of our customers that, maybe there's some ideas that we can bring to people to say, here's something you might try because some other customers have been successful doing this, and some things like that. So I think it's a great thing and a lot of fun.
It is. And I would agree. I had to think long and hard to try and find, potential disadvantages. Lee, is it ever a challenge if you have to turn maybe a friend or a neighbor or somebody you go to church with down for a loan?
That does happen from time to time, and it is hard to do, no doubt about it. But the biggest thing with that is if it's something like that where we're turning somebody down for a loan, we usually have a pretty good reason as to why, that we can explain and even show them on a piece of paper. Here's some of the things that as to why we're saying that, but here's what you can do to fix it, to maybe 6 months down the road you might be able to get this loan instead, and here's some things you can do to correct that.
Right. And again, you're trying to set them up for success.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
very good. One of the potential downfalls or disadvantages I can see is in the employment world, when you're advertising for a job in one of our communities and you have 30 or 40 applications, well, you might only have one opening, so you have to narrow that down. So sometimes that can be tough, but again, I look at that as an opportunity, we all do, to go find the person that's most right for the position and bring them on board to make them a part of our team. So.
Yep.
One of the things, a lot of times when you're going through school, they'll talk about beginning salaries, wages, and other opportunities with jobs. As I would tell you, there's a lot of different roles within the bank, so there's a lot of different salaries in the bank. But a beginning full-time employee in our organization is going to start out at $15 an hour. So right there, if you're working a 40-hour week, you're looking at around $31,000 just as an entry-level CSR position. From there, it can range anywhere to a six-figure income, including salaries and bonuses. So it just depends what role you're in the bank. And obviously, as you progress and mature in your role, your salary is going to increase as well. We take a approach that says it doesn't matter how many years you've been here, it's the job you're doing and how well you do it is how you are paid for your performance.
Mm-hmm. So the other thing I'll go into is, you might be asking, well, what classes should I be taking as a high school student at this point in time and then throughout the next couple of years if I'm considering a career in banking? Well, a few of them come to mind. Basically anything having to do with business, whether it's business management, accounting, even balancing your own checkbook is a good thing to know, and just know how money works and some different things like that. Economics, part of my job is knowing what's going on throughout the economy, because that might affect things like interest rates and farm, grain prices, or, just to name a few examples. I have to understand and know what's going on with that, because that's changing all the time. And then other things, how government works. We're subject to rules and regulations and laws in banking, and so are our customers and their businesses that, we have to pay somewhat attention to what's going on there as well. So, because those things can affect us right here in small town America too. So, so any of those types of classes, obviously with numbers, you have to be pretty good with math, or at least like the numbers. Is there going to be trigonometry in banking? Probably not, but there's going to be just a lot of just general math and knowing how to do things that way, and interest compounding, things like that is good to know.
Right. We use Excel a lot. We use PowerPoint a lot for different things within the bank, whether we're making a presentation to customers or internally to staff. So some of those programs that you can learn and use, I would encourage you, along with the classes Lee mentioned, to diversify and, take the speech class, be comfortable, not that you're going to go make necessarily a lot of public speaking engagements, but we as bank employees get asked about banking topics all the time outside of the bank. And so we encourage all of our employees to be able to have those conversations with their friends, people at church and different things. So just encourage you to be diversified in your class selection. And again, no matter what your degree is, if you're trainable and willing to learn, you can learn banking. We actually have somebody who's been in the bank almost 40 years now, and they had a bachelor's degree from Wayne State College in interior design. Sorry, I lost it for a second. In interior design, and she's one of the most productive, talented employees we have. But she was able to learn a skill set in the banking industry and continue to move up in her career as well.
Another thing I'll add as far as activities, obviously those of you that play team sports, that's big because as I mentioned, a lot of that team attitude and atmosphere does translate into the workplace of just about anywhere you're going to end up working in your career. And so you need to be able to work with people in that way and just know that every position on the team is important. No matter what that position is, or how much playing time that person might get, they're part of the team. And another thing I would say is for those of you, it doesn't have to be ag related if you're not interested in ag, but things like FBLA, FFA, things like that are going to give you a lot of exposure to more just anything related to business in general and leadership as well. So I would encourage people to do that.
Absolutely, and I would also encourage you to be involved in your communities. If there's an opportunity to be on your student council, or if you have a local chamber that has student members, to look to be involved in those types of things. If not, church activities in any way that you can volunteer in your communities. What we're trying to set you up for is if there's an opening for a position that you're interested in, and you send your resume and your cover letter and you try to explain, why should we hire Lee? Why should we hire Susie? We're looking at pieces of paper and we may or may not know the person. And so what can you put on that piece of paper that makes you stand out? And some of the things that Lee mentioned and I mentioned will maybe make you stand out above somebody else and get that interview. And once you get the interview, then you'll use some of those other skills that you've learned throughout high school and college to sell yourself. And an interview is a two-way street. We firmly believe that. We're not only looking for the best person for the bank, but we're also looking that you think we're the best opportunity for you as you move forward in your career with your family, because we firmly believe that both sides have to believe and feel that it's a good match for it to be successful moving forward. So as you're looking to interview, it might not be the job at McDonald's, but as you're getting into a career, make sure you're doing the research on the companies that you're looking for and make sure that they have the same values and qualities that you're looking for in a job as well.
As far as just advice going forward, aside from the advice we'd already kind of given here, some other things I would encourage is, if you're looking to join the banking field or whatever field it is, it ends up being, look at getting part-time work in that field if you can. That will give you experience. That it goes back to the resume. If you show you've had some experience already, that's definitely a plus. In working in that field or working in general, again, with people or demonstrating that you're able to complete tasks and do things and be productive. Another thing when you get into college, there's going to be opportunities for internships during the summer months or even sometimes during the school year. I would highly encourage that as well, because it's experience and they pay you. So that's always a plus, but to gain experience for future employment in that way and what you can learn and expand your horizons on. There's a few colleges in Nebraska that offer specific banking internships. There's some other colleges in Nebraska, some of them the same ones, that they have what's called a business academy. So it's kind of a specialized major program that you can apply, you have to apply for and interview and get into, but it's very intense and geared specifically toward business. So there's some things like that you can do that will kind of set yourself apart that not everybody may have access to if you're lucky enough to get into that. So the other thing I would say is remember that, you know, when you get out of college, you know, it takes time to work your way up, but you know, whatever your career aspirations are, you'll get there. You know, as time goes on, if you're willing to work hard and be productive and maybe think outside the box a little bit and take initiative to do different things, you know, your employer is going to recognize that. And that's going to help, you know, you accomplish whatever goal it is you're trying to accomplish in your career. So.
Absolutely, Lee. Great advice. I don't have a whole lot to add to that because Lee gave you some really good pointers. Just continue to be involved, ask questions. When you do get jobs, you know, once you complete some of your tasks and your duties, don't be afraid to say, hey, what else can I help with? And banks and every business are always looking for innovative new ideas and ways that you can put new technology to work in their organizations. Banks are we have a lot of technology within the bank, and it changes every single day, from the software that we use to the software that we present to our employees and our customers. So, you know, we're looking for, when people graduate or come on as an intern, we're looking for their ideas, because just because we did something this way for 10 years doesn't mean it's the best way anymore. So we're looking for their thoughts and ideas. So I would also encourage you, as Lee mentioned, the internships, don't just look for those that are advertising in, you know, whatever career posting you're looking for at the college you're in. If you're from a small hometown, reach out to their accounting firms, their lawyers, their banks and different business settings, and just ask them if they would be interested in having an intern for the summer. And, you know, you'll take minimum wage, you'll do whatever, maybe you'll even do an internship for free, but what great experience and what a great way to know if you like banking or accounting or personal finance. So those would be some things I'd encourage you to do as well once you're in the college ranks.
Yeah, that's a good point, Susie. You might be surprised. Even if they're not actively looking, and you present them with that idea, they might say, you know what, let's do something here. So, especially in the small towns like that, and if they know that's what you're looking to do, people are willing to help you if you just reach out. So,
absolutely. Lee, is there anything else you can think of that we should share?
I think we pretty much covered it. So
Yeah.
Unless you can think of anything.
No, I do not have anything to share. I wish we were face to face with you guys and can meet with you in person, and, you know, hopefully that'll be the case next year. But good luck as you move through high school. I know that as you sit and go through some of these career presentations, you're thinking, man, that's a long ways off, but time goes fast. Start preparing now by some of the courses and activities that you're involved in high school. Enjoy your high school years, time flies, and enjoy your college years, and good luck. But we'll say that if there's everything Lee or I could do, if you have any questions about internships or how to get into banking or some other business field, don't hesitate to give Lee or I a call at Security Bank, and we'd be glad to visit with you.
Yeah, we'd be glad to help. So in any way.
Thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.